12-year-old Shane Woods is just a regular boy. He loves pitching for his baseball team, working on his graphic novel, and hanging out with his best friend, Josh. But Shane is keeping something private, something that might make a difference to his teammates, to Josh, and to his new crush, Madeline. And when a classmate threatens to reveal his secret, Shane's whole world comes crashing down. It will take a lot of courage for Shane to ignore the ridicule and hate and show the world that he's still the same boy he was before. But in the end, those who stand beside him may surprise everyone, including Shane. Here is a look at The Other Boy by M.G. Hennessey. Dude, you're kidding, right? Josh threw the baseball up with one hand, then deftly snatched it out of the air with the other. Sorry, man, I shrugged. I've got to go. But it's the last game. If we lose, we won't make regionals. Josh tossed me the ball. I caught it and spun it in my hand. The ball felt natural there, like it belonged. That's what I loved about baseball. It always felt right. So win without me. Josh scowled. Who's going to pitch? Dylan? He sucks. Nah, he's okay, I said, even though Dylan threw 2 balls for every strike. Josh scuffed his shoes along the sidewalk as we kept walking. It was already 90 degrees, way too hot for April. I can't believe your mom is making you miss the game for a stupid trip. Josh shook his head. She's usually so cool. Yeah, I agreed, feeling a twinge of guilt. I hated to miss such an important game, but I didn't really have a choice. And I couldn't even tell Josh why. He'd been my best friend since we moved to LA 3 years ago, but sometimes lying was just easier on everybody. Josh started to step off the curb, but Maria, the crossing guard, snapped, "Wait until I say okay." There aren't even any cars coming, he grumbled. Maybe they're invisible, I offered, and Josh cracked up. Scowling, Maria marched into the middle of the road, brandishing her sign like it was a sword as she waved us across. So can we go now? Josh said. Are you sure? Don't be jerks, said a familiar voice behind us. I flushed bright red as Madeline Duncan stepped off the curb. She threw Maria a radiant smile and said, Buenos dias, Senora Vasquez. Maria beamed back at her. Buenos dias, Madeline. Suck up, Josh muttered as we followed. I didn't answer, fixated on how Madeline's long red hair swished back and forth across her backpack as she walked. She was holding the straps, which made her elbows jut out behind her. Today she was wearing a pink skirt, bright orange leggings, and blue Converse high tops. Did you catch the game last night? Giants are looking good this season, bro, Josh said. Yeah, great, I muttered, distracted. Did Madeline really think I was a jerk? I wanted to catch up and explain that we were just messing around, but then Josh would tease me about caring what Madeline thought. I did care, though. A lot. Just last year, a whole group of us would spend recess running around after each other playing tag. It didn't really matter if you were a girl or a boy because everyone was just friends. But in 6th grade, that stopped, as if an agreement had been struck without anyone ever saying anything. Now the girls hung out on the benches by the swings while the boys shot hoops. I liked basketball okay, but there were days when I really missed tag. What's with you? Josh asked, tossing me the ball again. Nothing, I mumbled. Madeline had stopped to talk to a couple of her friends. She said something, and they all laughed. He followed my gaze and raised an eyebrow. Ooh, you like her? No, I protested, but it was too late. Josh smirked and chanted, Shane likes Maddie, Shane likes Maddie. I elbowed him in the ribs. Shut up. Ow. He gave me a wounded look. Chill, dude. You chill, I muttered back. Everyone was hustling to get through the door before the bell rang. Someone bumped me hard from behind, nearly knocking me down. I caught myself and spun around to find Nico Palmer sneering at me. He was a big kid who played for a different club team, the Mustangs. They'd gone to regionals the past 5 years, so they were kind of a dynasty. Watch it. Move it, loser, he said, as he shoved through the next knot of kids on the stairs. Cardinals suck. Mustangs suck worse, Josh called after him. Just ignore him, I said. He's an idiot. Yeah, but a good hitter. You think we'll end up playing them? I shrugged. If we win. Unlike our team, the Mustangs were pretty much guaranteed a spot at regionals. Maybe they'll choke, Josh said hopefully, tucking the baseball into the side pocket of his backpack. See you in math? Yeah, see you. I couldn't help it. My eyes were still locked on Madeline, halfway up the stairs. I pushed through the bottleneck and finally made it to my locker at the end of the hall. It was still so cool to have a real locker. Last year we'd hung our backpacks on pegs outside class. This felt more grown up, like they were finally trusting us with something. Decorating the locker was a big deal too. I had pictures of my favorite players taped inside. All Giants, of course. Los Angeles was Dodgers country, but Mom and I had lived in San Francisco through 3rd grade, so technically they're my hometown team. Plus, their colors are orange and black, which remind me of Halloween, which also just happens to be my favorite holiday. I mean, dressing up as whatever you want and getting free candy, it doesn't get more awesome than that. I took out the books for my first few classes, then hurried to homeroom. It was the only class I shared with Madeline since she was in the gifted program, which kind of made me wish I was better at school. The room was half empty, and Madeline was in her usual seat by the window. Sometimes, if the window was open, a breeze would send the smell of her hair over, and for 10 whole minutes I was breathing in strawberry bubble gum. I stopped and scanned the chairs, like I was trying to decide which one to take. In case anyone was paying attention, I gave a little shrug and slouched over to the one next to her. I pulled out my sketchbook to work on the drawing I'd started last night. That's pretty good. I looked up. Madeline was smiling at me, her lips shiny with gloss. Thanks. What is it? She asked, leaning over and scrunching up her face. I turned the notebook toward her. It's an alien. Cool, she said. I wondered if she really thought so. Suddenly the drawing seemed kind of dumb. Before I could explain that I was working on a graphic novel about a space explorer, Mr. Peters came in and boomed, "Seats, please!" The rest of the kids grumbled and scraped chairs as they took their desks. Madeline leaned over and whispered, "Big game this weekend, right?" Huh? Olive's brother is on your team, she said with a smile. He said you really need to win. Yeah. The fact that she even knew I played got me flustered. But I have to go out of town with my mom. I felt a twinge of embarrassment. In 6th grade, admitting you had parents was mortifying, even though we obviously all did. Bummer, she said, making a face. I'm sleeping over at Olive's, so I was going to check it out. Where are you going? San Francisco, I explained. My dad still lives there. How cool. I've never been. Madeline gave a little sigh. What's it like? I struggled for words to describe how it was colder and foggier, but a lot prettier. The way that the Golden Gate Bridge looked like it was reaching out to embrace you when you crossed it and how if you hit it at the right time of day, the sunset made the water glow like gold. But Mr. Peters started calling roll before I could answer. The bell rang and everyone started talking again. Over the din, Madeline said, "Have a good trip." "Thanks." As we walked out together, I tried to come up with something clever and charming that would make her laugh, but my mind was blank. Caitlin and Olive were suddenly flanking her, talking fast and giggling, and Madeline walked away with them. And this has been a preview of The Other Boy by M. G. Hennessey.